Welcome back to another episode of Dentistry's Growing with Grace podcast. Join Grace and her guest of the week as they discuss lessons learned in the industry and explore unique insights into ethical growth.
Hello and welcome back to Dentistry's Growing with Grace. I am very excited to have my friend J.W. here with me today. J.W., thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. It's exciting to be on your podcast as well.
So you are serving a very interesting need right now. You're providing a solution to a very popular need right now, which is finding support team members for your dental team. Tell me about your business and give me a little background. How did you get to where you are with this business?
Well, no doubt that was a God-inspired direction, because the fact that I'm running a business in Africa makes no sense in my background. If you can tell from my country drawl, I'm just a good old boy from Texas, and so none of that made sense. But I've been in the dental business since 1986. I've been in the equipment side. Currently, I do still have a company that focuses on digital imaging. But 5 years ago, I went to a Christian conference. My wife and myself met another couple, Ken and his wife, and we really had it. It was in Curacao of all places, and it was a National Center for Fathering. It was their annual fundraiser marriage retreat, and we met, decided that we got along with each other, and he said, well, hey, what kind of business could we get in together? This was about a year down the road. And so we started testing using remote workers in Zimbabwe, Harare, Zimbabwe, which is in Southern Africa. And it worked real well for my business. I started off with 2 people kind of testing it. Never did I really think it was going to be very dental focused. It was just like, hey, here's remote workers. They're good in accounting, marketing, IT, whatever that might be. And then about 3.5 years ago, a close friend of mine, Dr. Nikki Green here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, has a large practice. And she was, hey, I could really use some help with my insurance verification. And I said, I don't even know what that is, but let's see if we can help you with that. I don't know anything about back office, front office, how dental offices run. And so she hired 3.5 years ago. She still has the same person, Melody, working for her. And so we branched off from our ZimWorks, which is our main company, ZIMWORX, because we wanted to put Zimbabwe to work. And side note, they've got about 80% unemployment rate. That's 80. But yet, out of the 54 countries in Africa, they rank 1 or 2 in literacy and tops in university education. So very well educated with that little crisp British accent. And so it worked well for Dr. Green. We branched off from ZimWorks to SupportDDS, which is now our biggest entity. So it worked well for me. I had 30 years at that time in the dental arena, and so it was a really nice fit. And so now the company handles one-on-one with offices, from insurance verifications to claim submittals, revenue cycle management, scheduling, even some marketing if they need help with keeping up their social media, websites, things like that. So it's really, really expanded into a fun business as well.
Awesome. I love that. So how does outsourcing, it sounds like at a thought, for some people, it sounds like it would be so tough. You'd get different people, you'd have, different people working on your things all the time. Do these dental teams get like a dedicated person on their team? How does it work exactly?
Yeah, good question. That's probably where we differentiate between other forms of outsourcing or remote or offshoring, whatever you want to call it. We actually call it insourcing. Dr. Bruce Baird, we were at a meeting one time. He goes, "It's more like insourcing." He said, "It's in your office." And what it was these people actually are working in your office full time. So I mentioned a minute ago, Dr. Green has Melody. Well, Melody is the same person that's been working for her since the start. She actually becomes part of her culture. And I know you're big on culture, and they bring in we really highly recommend when they hire them, they bring them in and they become part of their culture, part of their office, and they just become a team member like the people that are working in their office. And that's really the primary difference. It's not task oriented. Sometimes it's even hard to get across to a dental office that Well, they're doing insurance verification. Could they answer our phone sometimes? And we're like, they work for you. They just work for you. So you could have them call in appointments for you to pick up your dry cleaning if you wanted to. They just are dedicated to the office.
Very cool. So that being said, do you dedicate you come up with a certain number of hours that's going to work for them so that it's consistent for them too? Talk to me a little bit about the benefit for the workers in Zimbabwe. How does this impact them and their life? And how does this work in regards to helping them?
Well, that's our mission. As I mentioned, when my partner and I first started this, we both had other businesses. He's in a completely different sector, real estate and the food business. And I thought, where do we have a commonality? But it was really about our Christian backgrounds. We both said, hey, we want to help people. So interesting, Grace, when we started this, in our bylaws, we committed to give 51% of our profits back to ministries. And we do that locally in Zimbabwe, and we do that globally through various organizations. But the impact on the individuals, a pastor friend really coined it win-win-win, which we run with. It's a win for the person who gets the job. Typically in like Zimbabwe, that one job most likely supports their entire immediate family, husband, wife, kids, but quite possibly even their extended family, grandparents, brothers, sisters, because of the unemployment rate. So that job is very beneficial. So it's a win for the team member. It's a win for the dental office because our costs are somewhere between 30 and 40% cost of what you normally would pay, and probably closer to 30. So if you're paying $30,000 a year, then you might be paying 10 as an easy example into what that cost is going to be. The other win is for ministries. As I mentioned, we give 51% back to our ministries around the world, and including locally. We help orphanages and do a lot with our teams there in Zimbabwe. So that's really the impact. Again, I want to stress that's important. It's really about why we do what we do, and it is to make an impact.
I love that. And I can see there's always a need out there. And when we can, I think it's a very clever business, and I think that it solves a lot of problems for people. So, I know that you mentioned running a Christ-centered business. I know that you're a Christian. I know that your values are what lead you in business. I'm really impressed by that. I'm personally always looking for ways to get involved with nonprofits. I've thought about starting a nonprofit. This is totally not in the agenda, but random question, more for myself than anything. If someone is wanting to get involved, in a nonprofit or giving, I guess I'll ask, one, what advice do you have for them? And two, how has it changed your life? What are some of the benefits, maybe emotionally or spiritually, that you've derived from this business?
Wow. A great question. And I could probably speak on that for an hour. I grew up in a Christian home, probably like everybody. I'm very fortunate. My mother drug us, if you will, to church every Sunday. And I'm so fortunate that many years later, I'm still going, and very, very thankful that she did do that with us. I drifted like everybody else. I actually got involved in doing some nonprofit work. I still have a nonprofit that's active in the country of Haiti. I've been going down there since about 2011. Still, we do a lot of, we got involved with an orphanage there where we could donate, we could help them, not just by giving food and candy and the things that are temporary, but now we actually help them with education. So we help advance them once they come out of an orphanage. We've got one that's in medical school in the Dominican Republic. We've got two of them in nursing school right now. One of them just finished a nursing school program. So the same thing, people wanting to get involved in ministry, there is a lot of, I don't want to say scams, but there's a lot of deals that have high administrative costs. You have to look at what the impact of that, can be. But bottom line, helping others even if it's just one person, is so self-fulfilling and gratifying, knowing that you're changing lives. And that was, Grace, that was a little bit why well, not a little bit, it's kind of why we started it, but now it's a real big focus. Is we can take a dental office, let's say, that's busy, and maybe they can't go to 2 weeks to Nicaragua to serve in a dental community and pull teeth or do work there. We explain to them, hey, just by having one team member in your office, you're doing ministry. You are supporting a person, not only changing their lives and making a difference, but you're also being able to inadvertently donate to ministries, as we do through our company. So there's nothing better. And businesses all the time, I believe, are looking for ways that they can be more effective in their communities and give back. But it's hard because most of the time you don't know where to give. You don't know how to get that done or how to vet out the organization that you're working with. So we've kind of offered a simple avenue to be able to do that. And we have offices, we got dental offices that they've showed us where they have their team members' picture on their wall now. And, along with their staff, they've got their picture included in there. We've had one of them that even photoshopped it in there. So they were like they were in their whole office. So when they embrace that, and when they embrace bringing them into their culture, it's just a difference maker. And it is for me personally as well.
Absolutely. And I just want to say too, if someone has ever kind of gone down this road or tried to, I'm going to say outsource just so that people understand what I'm saying. But
yeah.
If they've ever gone down this path and it didn't work, I want you to ask yourself, how many times have you gone down the path of hiring in-office team members that didn't work? It is not always an immediate perfect fit. Sometimes you have to kind of find that perfect fit for your culture. And just like in recruiting, in a normal circumstance where you're recruiting people to work physically in your office, you may have some instances where it's not always a perfect fit. Now, I know that that the people that you employ in Zimbabwe are highly educated, highly competent people, because I've had conversations, with you guys in the past, and I know that. But what would you say to somebody who's tried it, didn't get a perfect fit, or maybe not tried it with you, but tried it in another capacity? I would just want to encourage them that you can't gauge the effectiveness of all of outsourced work based on one maybe failed experience. I think that's important to consider.
Yeah, it's probably one of the biggest issues we deal with. Somebody has worked in one of the other countries and the language barrier was great. They're like, well, I couldn't really understand them. Well, you can't extrapolate one dialect or one language and put that over everybody. I think that's where we have a huge win, is because we have people who sound like they, as I say, they speak the Queen's English, and I love talking to them because they have this perfect speaking. And most of the time people's, clients and staff members like speaking to them as well. But yeah, as far as not being a perfect fit, absolutely. I've hired lots of people in my career, and I made a lot of mistakes in hiring, and we had to swap them out. I do say this up front, that the training piece is big. While we do put them through a basic training course and we get them up to speed on dental, we talk about insurance verifications and scheduling, and we look at, Open Dental and EagleSoft, and we go through the various. But when we finally place them, we say, okay, Grace, here's your new dental team member. We say, you have to train them how you want things done. Everybody does verifications different. Everybody does block scheduling different. Everybody does every task a little different. So we tell them, spend time with them, train them. And we've had people at first say, well, I just don't have time to train them. And I think, well, if they were in your office, you would have to train them. So this is no different than that piece of it. And I think there's some advantages, as you know, there's never any drama in a dental office, right? There's no drama between, right? Yeah, no, that doesn't exist, right? And one of the big advantages here is you eliminate some of that. You've got somebody working remotely, and they can get And most of the time, the other team members in a dental office specifically, if they buy into it and don't see it as a threat, don't see it as, oh, that person's trying to take my job, they'll find that now they can focus on the high priority things in their office, like patient care. I got somebody I'm looking at one-on-one coming into my office, and I'm not on hold with, the insurance company trying to get something done. So I'd say 90% see it as a benefit, but we do say train, get them trained like you want them, and also invite them into your culture, and then there'll be a success. And we don't have long-term contracts. We do 30 days in or out. So we don't want people to feel like they're tied in for 2 years with our business. And we have had on occasion where somebody say, Grace is just not a good fit for our office. And we'll say, okay, let's interview some more people. We do it just like you and I are doing here. We do it through Zoom. And we say, jump on the line. Let's interview some more candidates, and let's try to get somebody that's a better fit for you culturally or work-wise as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just think it's important. Don't compare, this process to this ideal, perfect thing in your mind. Compare it to reality of hiring. When you're hiring, there's always this discovery period where you're working out that perfect fit. So I love this. I think that there's probably an office manager or a dentist somewhere that's going, if I could only get insurance verifications, I could train someone in our method. If I could only get this off my plate, that would free me up to do all these other more important things. And I think that's a perfect situation to consider your services. So if someone were interested in this, how would they get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can go right to our website, SupportDDS.com, and we got a little free book we can send you about how outsourcing works. You can also set up a demo, and we'll walk you through the process. We've got trained team members. We can typically have somebody up and running as little as a week's time. Then we have an onboarding process where we go through the steps to, through your IT. How do you want them to remote in? How do you want to work with their software before we actually get launched? So yeah, you can go right to the website, and we'll schedule a time, and we'd love to just explain what we do so that you can make a decision. And it's not for everybody, we get that, but we think in today's world where minimum wage seems to be working its way up, and a lack of resources, right? You and I talked a little bit about that. There's a lack of not only qualified resources, but just resources in general in terms of employees. So it's a real opportunity to find people.
Excellent. Well, J.W., thank you so much for being here with me today. And to our listeners, I hope you found this information valuable and helpful. I know right now that hiring is a true pain point as you grow your practice. And if you'd like more information on growing your practice and out-of-the-box ideas, please stay tuned to our next episode of Dentistry's Growing with Grace. And you can also reach me by email at grace@identitydental.com if you'd like to set up your complimentary marketing planning session. Thank you all so much for being a part of our group and our podcast, and have a great day.